The crisp white tablecloth was instantly ruined. A stream of ice-cold water cascaded from the pitcher, soaking through David's shirt and splashing onto his wife, Sarah, and their young son, Noah. The waiter, a young white man named Leo, with a practiced smirk, held the empty pitcher aloft as if presenting a trophy. The chatter in the upscale restaurant died, replaced by a wave of whispers and stifled laughs. "We have a certain standard to maintain," Leo said, his voice loud enough for the surrounding tables to hear clearly. "We can't just let anyone in off the street." Sarah's hands balled into fists on her lap. "Before we continue, tell us where in the world you are watching from. Drop it in the comments below, and if you enjoy this story, don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more powerful content like this." Noah stared at his father, his eyes wide with confusion and fear. Around them, patrons in expensive suits and dresses either turned away, pretending not to see, or watched with detached amusement. A man at a nearby table filmed the scene on his phone, a grin spreading across his face. David didn't move a muscle. He sat there, drenched and humiliated, his gaze sweeping across the room, noting every pair of eyes that met him and then quickly looked away. He felt the familiar sting of prejudice, an old wound that never quite healed. But he remained silent, his expression unreadable. Across the restaurant, the manager, a woman in a sharp blazer, saw the commotion and started to move, but then she caught a clearer look at David's face and stopped dead in her tracks, her own expression turning from annoyance to disbelief. Oblivious, Leo placed the empty pitcher down with a sharp clink. "I'm going to have to ask you to leave," he said, enjoying his moment of power. "People like you can't afford to be here anyway." David slowly reached for his wallet, his movements deliberate and calm. His jaw was tight, but his voice, when he finally spoke, was steady. "And what kind of people are we?" he asked quietly. The cold water dripped from David's shirt as he calmly watched the waiter's smug confidence. Leo gestured vaguely around the room. "This is a place for our members, people who belong." Sarah started to stand up, her patience gone. "We have a reservation. You have no right." Leo just scoffed, turning his back on her to address David again. "A mistake in the system, I'm sure. Now, are you going to walk out on your own, or do I need to get security to help you?" The entire restaurant was watching the performance. It was a spectacle, a bit of drama to liven up their expensive evening. David ignored the waiter and looked at his son. He saw the tears welling up in Noah's eyes and knew he couldn't just walk away. He had to show him how to face this kind of ugliness without letting it break him. He had spent his life being judged on sight, from teachers who steered him away from advanced classes to executives who mistook him for the delivery guy. He learned long ago that reacting with anger only gave them what they wanted. True power was in patience, in letting them expose their own ignorance for the world to see. "I asked you a question," Leo snapped, his voice growing louder. "Are you deaf?" Before David could answer, a voice cut through the tension. "Is there a problem here, Leo?" It was the manager. She hurried over, her eyes fixed on David, a look of panic dawning on her face. "Mr. Harris, I am so sorry. I didn't realize you were here tonight." Leo's smirk faltered. He looked from his manager to the drenched man at the table. "Do you know him?" The manager's face was pale. "Do you know him?" "Leo, this is David Harris. He bought the entire restaurant group last month. He's your boss." A collective gasp went through the room. The man who was filming slowly lowered his phone. Leo stood frozen, the color draining from his face as the reality of his actions crashed down on him. David leaned back in his chair, the water still dripping onto the floor. "Now," he said, his voice calm but carrying the weight of absolute authority, "why don't you tell me again why my family and I don't belong here?" Leo's mouth opened and closed like a fish, but no words came out. The arrogance he wore like a uniform had been stripped away, leaving only a pale, trembling man. I didn't know," he stammered. David's eyes were like steel. "You didn't know I was the owner, but you knew I was a husband and a father trying to have a nice dinner with his family. You saw a black man and you decided he was worthless. That's not a misunderstanding, that's a choice." He turned to the stunned manager. "Fire him, effective immediately." The manager nodded quickly. "Of course, Mr. Harris." "Security," she called, and 2 guards appeared at her side. "Please escort this man off the premises." As Leo was led away, protesting that it wasn't fair, David addressed the silent dining room. "Let this be a lesson to everyone. This is my establishment now, and in my establishment, everyone is treated with dignity. Your bank account doesn't determine your worth as a human being." He then turned back to his family, his expression softening as he looked at his son. "Never let anyone make you feel small, Noah. You hold your head high, always." Sarah reached across the table and took his hand, her eyes shining with pride. The staff, now scrambling, brought them fresh towels and moved them to the best table in the house. As they finally began their meal, the other diners looked on, their amusement replaced by a deep, uncomfortable shame. The story of what happened that night would spread, a quiet reminder that a person's true character isn't measured by the clothes they wear, but by the respect they show to others.